Well, today we are talking about how you can make a cool intro just like this one. Well, hello. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tony, and I am a filmmaker photographer in the St. Louis area. I hope that you are doing well and you got a lot of rest over the holidays that we just kind of wrapped up, and you are kind of embracing for that new year, 2022. We're here. For me, the next 8 or 10 weeks are kind of slow and kind of cold and kind of rainy and snowy, and you can't really go outside, and it gets kind of ugly outside, and so I spend a lot more time editing. So I really need to update my intro. I've been using this for like 2 years. And so what I want to do, instead of just kind of pumping through it, I would love to sit down with you guys at the computer and walk through how I update my intro. Now, you're going to need a few things. The first thing is I do this in After Effects. And the reason why is you just have a little bit more flexibility and tweakability, if you will, in After Effects than you do in Premiere Pro. You can do it in Premiere Pro, but this tutorial is going to be in After Effects. The next thing that you're going to need is you're going to need some sort of template. Now, Motion Array reached out to me and said, hey, we would love for you to make a video, but I said, before I make a video with your products, I need to spend some time with it. So they gave me a year subscription, and I've just been going through all of the different parts of Motion Array's website and figuring out all of what it is. Now, if you're not familiar with Motion Array, it is a assets website, a subscription that you can get all sorts of assets. And when I mean assets, I mean lower thirds, I mean transitions, I mean plugins, all sorts of different things. And then they have these whole templates that you can create intros or titles or transitions or all sorts of different things. Maybe you just need a little illustration. They've got all sorts of these things that I just absolutely love to have integrated into my videos. So this is not that video for Motion Array, but I do want to give them a shout out because their product is really good and they've got all sorts of things on their website, and we'll talk about that in a future video. But today we're talking about intros. So you need After Effects, you need a good template. You can find that at Motion Array or a different website. By the way, if you do not have a Motion Array subscription, link down below gives you 2 free months, so that might be helpful. Another place that you can find it is Envato, all sorts of different places, but we're gonna do that. Then the other thing that you need is some good content. Now, I grabbed like 10 or 12 clips out of my library of the past few years, fairly relevant looking footage of things that represent me and what I want my channel to be. So for me, that's a lot of camera stuff. That's some of me training and teaching. That's some just clips from my YouTube channels. That's some outdoorsy stuff, the Jeep, the motorcycle, all that kind of stuff, because it represents who I am. Now, if you do not have multiple years worth of footage that you've gotten, there's a simple way that you can do it. Grab your camera, and what I want you to do is just kind of go around and figure out what represents you and what you want your channel to be. And all you need is like 10 good clips. Just make sure that they're kind of various so it doesn't look like you just fired off 10 shots right in the same little corner of your house, but you don't need to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours. You just need to get some good footage that you can be creative with in post-processing. Other than that, you need a song. Once again, I've got mine from Motion Array. Another place is Artlist. You can find some good music there, but we're gonna try and keep this video down to like 10 to 12 seconds, because what that means, if somebody watches that intro over and over again, they can just double tap on the iPad or their phone or whatever it is, it skips over the intro and they're back into the video. That's why we're gonna keep it to that 10 to 12 seconds kind of an intro. Now, if your template is longer than that, we can fix that. If your music is longer than that, we can fix that. Just find a template that you like, and then let's jump into the computer. Okay, so now that we're in the project, if you're not familiar with After Effects, it is a little bit different than Premiere Pro, but it still has the same essential structure. So here's your media bin, all of your files that need to be edited go right in here, and we can talk through that in a second. This is your preview window, and then this is your timeline down here. Each one of these lines is an asset, and every asset needs its own line. That's the difference between this and Premiere Pro. Each has its advantages, but for this project, this is probably a better solution. So then each one of these can also be kind of compressed into a package known as a composite. And so these compositions have multiple things inside of them. So if you double click on them, you can see all of the assets that are within each one of these compositions. So getting back, here's all the different compositions you have. Maybe there's a whole bunch in here, but the ones that you need to know about are right here. So basically what I did when I started building this project, I don't really want this sport promo thing here. I want to start here. I think that looks a little bit better. So I just went ahead and hid this layer. This whole asset is now gone. And so the project starts right here. Okay, so let's work on getting all of our assets in here. First step is to create a new folder. We'll call this B-roll, and this is where we're gonna put all of our content, is right in this folder. Then bring in your assets, the ones that you picked out, all of your shots, and now they're in here and they're ready to go. You can kind of preview them with just a little clip right here, and you can kind of see what we're looking at. So now it's very simple. All you need to do is go up to these, number one, edit. Each one of these templates are slightly different, but I think that they will work pretty much the same way. So basically all you do is you take shot number one, and then you just drag your asset that you want in there right into the timeline. And so you can kind of move it along. What's happening here is this is where the clip starts, and what you can do, instead of starting at the beginning, you can either move this over, so this is where it starts, or you can completely move your clip wherever you want so that it aligns right where you need it to. That looks good. Okay, so now if we go back to our final render, we can see this shot is in there and we're good to go. So essentially all you have to do is do that for all of them, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as far as you want. Now, before you get too far ahead of it, what I like to do is add in my audio to this timeline so that I can see what timing looks like. So we'll just throw this in here. I don't want this one, I want this one. Just throw this in here on the bottom. And you can see, let's drag this down here. I like to put it at the bottom of my timeline. And then what I'll do is pull it all the way down so that I can see my waveform. And that's when I know where to start the video, essentially. So then we'll put it here, and we'll kind of let it do its thing. It's kind of rendering out a preview. So when we play it back, you can kind of hear it. Away it goes. Okay, so that's a good start. Now, basically we just do that, and now we can move all of these little compositions so that they align with wherever we want the breaks to start. So now we want this to come over here, we want this clip to go here, and then we want, when the music hits, we want that to come in, and now we can just kind of shorten this up to get it down to 10 seconds. Now, you don't need to use all of these compositions. We can kind of skip over here and take this last one and move this one to approximately 10 seconds or wherever we're gonna end the song, maybe somewhere in around here, 12 seconds or so. So, the only other thing we need to do is then just align all these compositions, fill in all of our shots, and change the text, which we haven't talked about. So if you click on the text, you'll see these are the different texts that we have. We're not using the intro. That was that first clip that we covered up. So go in here and we just change this to Tony Mellinger Presents. And I have a special font that I use for all of my branding, so we'll use that and then make sure that the caps are on there. And so now if we watch it, it comes in this way, looks really good. Now if we go back to our final render, boom, it's changed. Already looking like a project, looks really good. So now what I'll do is I'll just kind of finish filling in all of these different things and we can go from there. All right, so our project is coming along. By the way, this is a little pro tip. If you want to see where you don't have any, where you have transparency, you just select this little button right there and it will show you. This means there's nothing there. That means there's an alpha layer, which means it's transparent. So now when we walk through, we can kind of see how it looks. Looks pretty good. Okay, so a couple pro tips that I did in here. One is I did not use just one single clip per shot. So if we go in here, we can kind of look in here and you can see in this one PH05, I have 3 different shots. And I just added in 3 different shots and that changed how this speed and kind of the pacing of the video kind of hit. I also did the same thing with the words. So if we go back into here, you can see I've got multiple words. And so the way that I did that is if you just, you duplicate each one of these assets, you hit Command D, and then you can change the, go over here, you can change it to whatever you want, change the text, and then you're good to go. Then it's all the same and you kind of just space it out. So instead of having one that just said tutorials this long, I had 3 words in here that kind of go over about 2 seconds. So that way it makes it feel nice and fast. Turn this off real quick and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So now, tutorials, training, gear tips. And so that sped up that whole, you know, about 1.5 seconds pretty fast. Also, while we're in here talking about this one, you can add, so this is the original coloring. And I don't like the way that it looks. And so what I ended up doing was adding in a Lumetri color effect, the way that you can do that. If you don't see it over here, you go up to your window and you hit effects and presets. Then you just type in Lumetri and then just drag it on these layers and that will add in and you can make your adjustments. So you look at what it looks like now, but over here it looks pretty yellow. So just make sure that when you add a Lumetri color to a specific file that your final render looks good. So you're doing essentially multiple adjustment layers. Other than that, you can kind of tweak this however you want. Say you didn't want these little hashes on here, you just go into this composition and figure out where they're at, and then you just either hide or delete that layer, and then they won't be on there for you. And so you can completely customize these templates exactly however you want. And so another pro tip is if you get in here and maybe you don't see that many layers, make sure that this little nose thing is turned on or off. That may reveal or hide some layers. So that's just another thing. Other than that, you know, I just kind of took my time and dialed in exactly what shots I wanted where and dialed in the text and then just kind of landed on a really nice long shot that I can go right into a talking head with. So very cool. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out on social media, whether that is Instagram or leave a comment in the YouTube channel, all of those kind of things. But you have the ability to just kind of make this whatever kind of project you want. And so I'm really happy with how this has turned out. All right, guys, well, hopefully this video was helpful. I really think that these little assets that you add into your video kind of take it to that next level, and hopefully this will help you get there. If you've got any questions, if this tutorial was helpful, I would love for you to like it. Make sure to leave comments in the comment section about where did you get confused? Was this helpful? I would love to just create a little bit of a community this year on YouTube and just kind of get to know you and where you're at and kind of your level so that we can get a plan of some really good videos. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Once again, all sorts of camera stuff and video and all of that sort of stuff we talk about on this channel. And occasionally I post a video of how I'm using these cameras, whether it's a family outing or a client project or a vlog, something like that. Lots of cool stuff. All right, guys, I'm landing the plane. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.